let's suppose you finish because you had this thing where you want to finish something, and I think that's great. Mm-hmm. But let's suppose you finish it, and then eventually you go back to it, and you're like, I'm not really into it. Do you just leave it alone? But the fact that you finished it was what was mainly important to you?
I'll always want to get it to a point where I can show it to other people. Like, I've never written anything, I've never done a first draft of anything and been like, like, I'm glad I wrote this, but I'm never going to show it to anyone. Because I feel like you never know when you're going to meet a person who wants to do the exact thing that you had written 5 years ago. So I always want to get a script to the place where I would feel comfortable showing it to someone else if it ever came up. Like, I don't show it to people, but I would show it to, like, I would read it, I would be happy with it. I'd show it to, like, my wife just to make sure it makes sense and help me look for typos. And then I'm happy to put it on a shelf and never show it to anybody. Unless one day I'm at a meeting, one day I'm at a barbecue, and someone's like, yeah, I'm a producer. My brother owns a furniture store in Arizona, and I can get to a free location, and I have $500,000. And if I can find a movie set in a furniture store, I can shoot there. And that's when I'm able to say, funny, I have a thriller that I wrote set in a furniture store 5 years ago. No one's ever seen it. Like, no one's ever read it. I just wrote it because I wanted to write it. It was like a story I wanted to tell. But I was very aware that there's no market for $500,000 furniture store movies. But then, who knows? Happy Time Murders. D. Robertson and I came up with these characters, came up with a story. I wrote the script. We tried to get it made for fun. We just wanted to do it for fun. And it didn't happen. Put it on the shelf. Years later, we weren't doing anything with it. It was just sitting on the shelf, the virtual shelf of my computer. My agent calls me. He says, hey, the Jim Henson Company called me because they're starting a new division called Henson Alternative, and they're looking to do adult-oriented puppet stuff. And they called and they basically we want to develop an R-rated puppet movie. Do you have any writers who you think would be good fit to do that? And my agent said, well, actually, I have a client who already wrote an R-rated puppet movie. It's called The Happy Time Murders. He wrote it 5 years ago. And they were like, what? So he sent it over and they read it and they're like, oh yeah, great, let's do this. This is exactly what we wanted. But we had already done it just for fun. So that's always been my method. It's just I write stuff for fun that I like, and then I put it on the shelf, and maybe one day it'll come up in conversation and someone will want to make it. Who knows?
What makes it an R rating? What are these puppets doing that's so adult oriented?
It's sex, drugs, violence, rock and roll. The puppets are doing everything that people do in their everyday life, but we're finally seeing what the puppets do behind closed doors, what the puppets do on the streets, how the puppets actually talk to each other. I've written a bunch of family stuff, and I've written a bunch of PG movies, but I've also the movies I've directed have always been R, and they're always filled with cursing and adult themes. And people have asked me well, why do you have these characters cursing all the time? And I'm like, because that's how people talk. My friends, when we're hanging out, that's how we talk, And when you want to make a movie about a certain kind of person, they curse a lot, they drop F-bombs, or this is how they talk to each other. And when we set out to make a movie about the actual, what if there was actually a world where puppets and humans coexisted with each other, and the puppets were this underclass of society that were, sugar addicts and living on the streets, and we're this underclass. It would be pretty rough. And they would talk to each other in pretty rough ways, and it would be a really interesting world to explore. And the thing about the funny thing about R-rated comedies is that there's a lot of movies you see, there's this very fine line between PG-13 and R, right? And so it's very easy to take a script and be why don't we just make this PG-13? All you got to do is cut some F-bombs out of it. But if you are going to commit to making an R-rated movie, a lot of times studios or production companies will say, if this is going to be R, let's make it R. Let's go for it, because why not? We've already committed to appealing to a certain kind of audience that wants to see an R-rated comedy, and we've alienated anyone under the age of 16 who can't go see it unless they're with a parent or guardian. So we might as well go for it. You know, like there's no point in making an R-rated comedy that's going to have like 1 or 2 F-bombs and that's why it's R. Like, why? Like, let's just go for it and get nuts. And like, let's show the sordid private lives of puppets and all the shenanigans they get up to.